Ona.
Recording in progress.
Okay, guys. So we are starting the webinar now. So hello, everyone, and thank you all, guys, for joining in time. Guys, today we're going to talk about DevOps. And guys, as this is a webinar, I request you all, guys, to be very interactive, guys. In case you have any questions, any doubt, you can just let me know in between, guys. Right now, guys, any idea what is DevOps? Anyone? Guys, any volunteers?
Development and operations, Jitin.
Development and operations. Okay. Any other?
Like developing the code and
Developing the code
and
and
deployment. Yeah. So I mean, like development of I mean, supporting to development team as well as the operation team. I mean, within the team, we can take care of the deployment and other stuffs.
Okay. Yeah. Any other understanding, guys? Anybody like to include anything?
Just in a single word to say, like CI and CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment or continuous development.
Continuous integration, continuous delivery, and continuous development, continuous delivery.
Without bringing down the server to maintain high availability.
Okay, guys. All right. Thank you for your inputs, guys. Okay, let's understand it, guys, over here. Now, as the name states, right, I'm in the development and the operations, right? Now, guys, if you are working on any sort of the project, right, the first phase of a project is to get the requirement from the client, right? Now, the moment you will be getting the requirement, right, what you will do, you will create different modules, guys, right? And the projects, how many modules that you will have, which of the team, guys, I request you all, guys, in case you don't have any questions, guys, please put your mics on the mute, as I can still hear the background noises. I request you all, guys, in case you have any questions, unmute your mic. Do let me know. If in case not, guys, I request you to please be on mute. Thank you, guys. Okay, so the first phase that we have is in terms of getting the requirement, right, from the client. Now, depending on the requirement, we'll go ahead and check upon the feasibility of the project. So definitely your business analyst and your program managers will be looking into the requirements. And after getting the requirements, they will create a team. Now, as it's a project, there are different sections of the project that the different team members will be working. Now, depending on that, after capturing the requirement, they will be picking a model, whether it will be a agile model, or whether it will be a Scrum model, whether it will be a basic model of a project, or whether it will be a any sort of the model, guys. I mean, Agile and Scrum, basic are few of the example. There are few more options available that that you can pick how your project will be working out, right? Now, on the basis of that, you have your the request related to the requirements, and any sort of the requirements which will be coming in the project, you can have the different teams to reach out who will be working on the different sections of the requirements. There can be certain issues, there can be certain bugs that your team will be working upon, right? So after capturing the requirement, after creating the team, they will select a project model, what they will be selecting. And after the project model, your developer will start working on the project, right? So your development people will write code, right? Now, being your developers, they can have multiple teams. Somebody will be working on the front end, somebody will be working on the back end part, somebody will be working on a particular feature, right? And depending on that, right? Depending on which particular section they will be working upon, they will have different sections of the code. Now, where this particular code they will be keeping it. So guys, depending on the different team, they will have the repositories, your raw code that we have. We call it repos that we have. In Azure, we call it Azure repos. You can have that code available anywhere. It can be Bitbucket, it can be, other GitHub, or there are other options as well where a developer can keep the code, right? So once you have captured the requirement, you have selected your project model, and your developers will be writing the code. Now, guys, this is a raw code. It means the raw code is just a code which we have kept into the storage. And before we proceed with any sort of the development over here, right, or any kind of the integration, or for continuous integration or continuous deployment that we have, right? First of all, we need to convert this particular repository into the executable, right? Now, before we go ahead and execute the code, right? Now, guys, understand, there will not be a single developer who will be working. There will be hundreds of developers who will be working on this project, right? So accordingly, guys, you will be selecting the model that how those developers will be able to make changes, or how those developers will be able to put changes in this repository. Now, definitely, guys, there will be a master repository. Guys, I request you all, guys, please be on mute. I still hear the background noises. One minute, guys. Just give me 1 minute, guys. So guys, somewhere there will be a master repository where all these changes done by your developer in their different section of your feature repository, or whenever they will be making any sort of the changes, right? They will have their own repository, right? Now, depending on that, there will be a centralized model. There can be a distributed model, right? Like your Team Foundation version control, like your Git, right? So let's say, guys, these are different repositories that your developers are committing the operations, right? For the sake over here, I'm just putting it as a feature repo, or you can say the feature branch. You can have multiple those kind of the changes that the developers will be doing over here, right? And definitely, guys, if there will be a team who will be working on the different features, definitely they are using their local machines in order to update those changes, right? So you will have your local systems through which people will be making any sort of the changes over here. So every system have their own version of the framework, right? Now, definitely they will have their own libraries through which they will be working upon any sort of the code section. For an example, if you are a .NET developer, you might have Visual Studio available on your local machine. If you are a Java developer, you might be using Eclipse, where the code will be, you will be keeping it over there and you will be making any sort of the changes over here in the project. Yeah. So accordingly, guys, you can have lots of, operations that you will be doing, right? And the changes that you will be making in this repository, we are making it with the help of the branch. We call it branch, guys. Yeah. Now, once they will be committing any sort of the changes, I want that, that code will be automatically reviewed. All sort of the changes that they have automatically be tested, right? And then it will be committed into the master. It means whatever project that you will be working upon over here, whether it will be agile, whether it will be Scrum, whether it will be a basic project that you will have, right? All those kind of the changes that they are making, right? They will be automatically reviewed, and further it will be committed into your master repository, right? Now, guys, once the code will be there in the master repository, definitely, guys, it's nothing, it's just a raw code, right? We need to convert this into the executable. And in order to convert this into the executable, what we use, we create pipelines, guys, right? So all those terminology, what you have used, right? Continuous integration, continuous deployment, all this will be done with the help of your pipelines over here. Now, guys, these pipelines are nothing but the set of instructions which supposed to be executed if somebody making any sort of the changes. And what we want, that whenever those changes are coming from any of the developer from the background over here in your master repositories, those pipeline will help you in continuous integration and in continuous deployment, right? So we have CI/CD pipeline, right? So CI for the continuous integration, and CD is to continuous deployment. Guys, are we all able to follow this? Everyone, do you have any questions, guys, so far? Please let me know. Are we able to follow, guys? Everybody so far?
Jatin, actually, I heard about that from master branch. There are some sub branches are there, like
Right.
for each feature there are different sub branches, and from there developers commit the code in the, do the working on the sub branches, and then they commit. How it is?
This is what I'm mentioning as a feature repository, right? They can have their own branches, right? Making changes over there. They can have their, other repositories through which they will be keeping it, right? So being a developer, you are using the branch. Now, those kind of the branches, if, the changes has been committed over here, they can use the directly to the master branch, right? Because once it has been tested over here. So if you see this particular structured over here, right? They have their feature branches and they will have their own branches which they will be committing to the local changes over here. Because if a developer will be directly making changes into the branches as well, what if there is some problem or issue can happen, right? So it will directly impact the master file. Make sense?
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, as you mentioned here, a feature repository,
Mhm.
right? So it means like these are different module now. Like
Yeah,
these are
depends. It can be a different module, or it can be a sprint, or it can be a a initial feature, that somebody came with the requirement. Because see, understand, in the initial part of a requirement, right? Earlier we used to follow a waterfall model. Now, what happened in the waterfall model, that we used to get the requirements and we used to work on that particular requirement section, and any changes that's supposed to be done, it's supposed to be done once the project will be completed. Now, your project can have a timeline of a year or a 2 year, right? And there will be a lot of changes, that can happen in between. Or by the time you are coming up with any sort of the project, maybe there are n number of things which are available in the market, right? So any requirement that which will be the business use case that you will be bringing within the development itself can be taken as a requirement and can be implemented then and there. And that is the reason we required this feature repositories, and we can have multiple those kind of the branches where a developer can commit over here or commit directly into the master after the validation itself. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, guys. Any further questions on this? Guys, are we all able to follow?
What is the difference between CI and CD?
Oh, okay. So what happened, guys? I mean, the continuous integration is a process that whenever your raw code will be coming into the picture, what I want in this particular pipeline, right? Let me create this for a while, right? For the understanding. Let's say this is your pipeline for continuous integration and for continuous deployment, right? Now, what happened in this particular pipeline, there can be different versions that your developer can have, right? They are working on different versions of the code. Definitely there can be a problem with one version. They may want to go back to the previous version, right? There are a number of things they would like to do. Now, what I want that, once the versioning will be done, I want that the code's supposed to be tested at the same point of time. I get my point. So let's say after the different version, I want the testing to be done. And after that, there might be some dependencies of the code, right? Maybe I want to remove certain redundant line of code as well, right? Or maybe there are certain bugs that I want to fix over here. And then I would like to build all these changes together, right? So if you talk about a build process, build will be a process where, whenever there will be multiple versions that needs to be kept, needs to be tested, needs to be integrated, automatically, I want this mechanism to be getting in place over here. And this is your continuous integration process, right? Now, when you say continuous integration has been done, I want this to be getting deployed over here. Now, the deployment that you're talking about over here can have multiple stages, right? Pre-prod stage that you will have. For an example, there will be other features that may be included over here. And we also require the testing over here as well, right? And we can have different stages where, the deployment will be taking place over here. So we can have it. And then on the basis of that, further, let's say any sort of the changes that's supposed to be met over here that needed to be updated automatically. Now, there can be certain package installer that you have, that your NuGet package installer that you have built in the integration process. Now, maybe I want to deploy in different subscriptions. Maybe I need to deploy my infrastructure in Azure and that have the different subscription. Let's say some subscription are your testing subscription. Some subscriptions are your, production subscription. And before we go ahead and deploy that, that's supposed to be authenticated, that's supposed to be checked, right? So there will be pre-prod testing that will be needed. And further, it will do a security check over here as well, whether the code have the bugs or whether some vulnerabilities in the code which can impact your production. And once this all done over here, then you will proceed with your deploy over here, or you can say for the deployment, right? And where you will be deploying your code, guys? Because once your code is ready for the execution, let's say this is your web application, definitely your web application required compute. Now, your code can be deployed on top of a VM as well, right? And this website will be hosted. So definitely you require the infrastructure for that. Or you can also go with a platform as a service offering where Microsoft has created an app service plan with a shared operating system model where you can have your code executed, or there are options available, guys. You can go with a containerized web application or Kubernetes clustering as well. Clear, guys? Where you are the one who will not writing the code for the web application, but also writing the code for the runtime and also for the operating system as well, right? A containerized web application. So there can be n number of scenario that, once your code will be ready now with the help of this particular pipeline for the continuous integration and your continuous deployment. Further, you would like to host your web application on top of the infrastructure, and there can be n number of options available that you can use, like your VM. So this is basically your Azure, where you will be hosting this, right? So Azure will be helping you in order to meet your computational requirements. Are we able to follow?
Jatin, one of my friend also interested to join this training. Can I share this one? And can we do one small recap of this pipeline?
From the beginning, right now?
No, not from the beginning. From this pipeline.
Sure, no
this
problem.
Picture, the diagram from pipeline. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm sharing the link with him. He will join.
Sure, no problem. Okay, guys. So over here, whenever you will have this, code available, your executable pipelines will be there. And guys, in the meanwhile, where this pipeline will be executed, right? These pipeline definitely, is nothing but a piece of code where you will have multiple tasks, multiple jobs will be happening. And, on the basis of that there will be multiple agents available, right? Some agents will be hosted in Azure. So we call it Microsoft hosted agent. Some agents, are self-created. We call it self-hosted agent, and that can be hosted anywhere in Azure, AWS, and GCP, where this particular pipeline will be executed, right? And there can be artifacts which are, meeting my dependency deployment. So maybe some binary files, some packages files that we have, right? That we can bring over here, where we can have the dependencies of the code can be kept over there. Clear, guys? And apart from that, we can have the test plans where, for the strategy building that we can have. Now, guys, earlier you can see, I want this mechanism to happen automatically. I don't want to take manual meetings, that somebody making any sort of the changes or any update happening anywhere, whether in your repositories, whether in your pipeline, whether in your artifacts. I want automatically everyone to get updated with the help of that. So that integration with the help of your teams, with the help of your Azure wikis, can be done any given section over here where we can get the updates. And that is the reason, guys, we call it DevOps. Guys, I request you all, guys, in case you're not asking question, guys, please, put your mic on the mute, guys. I'm still hearing the background noise. We are recording this session, guys. Yeah. So I'm just doing a quick recap, guys, what we have discussed so far, right? So we started our discussion, right? What exactly are DevOps? And we received the inputs that, it's a combination of the development and the operations that we have, right? We also got the input as continuous integration and continuous deployment, right? And, maintaining your resources, high availability. There are a number of, inputs which has been given initially, right? So as I said, that if you are a developer, right, definitely, before you start developing any project, your project manager, your business analyst will be gathering the requirement from your stakeholders. Just give me 1 minute, guys. So guys, you will be capturing the requirement from the client. Once the requirement will be there, right, your product owners or your business analyst will be picking up what should be the project model looks like, whether we go with the agile process, whether we go with the scrum process, with the basic process. There are other processes which are available. Now, once they have decided that, okay, this is the process that we will be following, right? Definitely, they will need to get the updates from the development section as well. And then your coding section will come into the picture where your developer started working on the projects. Now, in order to achieve all this mechanism automatically, we will be following DevOps because we don't want to conduct multiple meetings that, if somebody making any sort of the changes, what are the regular, updates they will have, right? So there are different tools that we use over here, right? The first tool that we have is your Azure boards. So guys, you must have heard about Jira tool, right? Which actually helps you tracking down any sort of your projects that, how the project is progressing, or, if a development team is working, what are the achievements, right? What are the current updates related to the team, right? How the project is progressing over here, right? So we use Azure Boards for that. There are other tools that we will be using over here will be repos. So as I mentioned, repos or repositories are nothing but the storage where you will be keeping your code. Further, we will be creating pipelines, and the pipelines have two sections with continuous integration with continuous deployment.
అందరికీ కొత్తగానే ఫిక్స్ అయ్యారు ఇంకేంది ఏమంటారు
And apart from that, guys, what we have artifacts, which keeps the dependency of the executable pipelines. And then we have test plans, where we can decide the strategy of your continuous integration and continuous deployment, right? So these are the 5 tools that we have to learn in Azure DevOps over here. And why we need to know about this? Because I want to get regular updates related to any sort of the changes that your developer will be doing on their local machine, and they will be pushing any sort of the changes, right? So they will be creating the branches over here in their feature branch, or once they will be able to get the information that whatever changes they have met or made changes over here are not having any bugs, any related challenges, so they can directly commit into your master branch or into your repository over here. And once this code will be stored and you want this code to execute, we integrate this with a pipeline, and this pipeline helps us in order to have versioning, testing, and building over here. And we call this process continuous integration. And further, we want several sections of the testing before the production will be having this particular resource available over here. We will have the stages, we will have testing, we will have the security check, we will have multiple staging of before we go ahead and go into the deployment, right? We call it pre-prod testing over here. And further, there will be a deployment happening where the resources are getting created within Azure at the end, right? And the dependencies will be taken care by artifacts over here. Guys, so do we have an understanding, guys? What is DevOps now? Any questions? Any doubt?
Yeah, I have a question, Nitin. This is
Yep.
Dhruv.
Yeah, Dhruv.
So suppose I'm working on version 1 of the code, and I want to commit that code, but before that, somebody has already submitted version 1. So my version will become version 2, but I don't have the updated code right now with me. So in this case, what I have to do? I have to take the version 2 and then merge my code into this version 2 and then update it into repository. This is the process, or I need to wait?
So Dhruv, the thing is,
Yeah.
before you go ahead and make any sort of the commit, right? Definitely you will be cloning this particular code into your local, right? In order to make changes over here, right? Now, let's say you bought the code, you are making changes. Now you are done with the change. You would like to push. Now, meanwhile, there can be a possibility that other developer has also made changes over there, right? So what you do, you do a pull request before you will be committing into any of the features, so that you will have the latest version of the code, and you would like to test that particular code before you will be committing to any of your feature or any of your master branch, to ensure that whatever latest changes has been done, your code is not conflicting with any sort of those changes, right? So whatever testing that's supposed to be done over here, the moment you will do the pull request, it will be done automatically on your system itself, and then you will be committing the final commit. Clear? So before you will be making any changes over here directly, definitely there a lot of changes can be done meanwhile while you are working locally, right? So you need to bring that code over here. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, guys. So guys, if we are clear with the workflow, what we will be learning in your DevOps training, I would like to quickly show you the modules that we will be covering as a part of this particular training, guys. So this particular training constitute 20 modules, guys. Yeah. Okay, guys. So as a webinar, I mean, this is something which we are conducting for Jetris, our company, guys. The trainer name is Jatin Singh, guys, which is me. And guys, this is the outline of the course, what we will be covering as a part of this particular training over here. Yeah. So Module 1 will going to talk about planning for the DevOps. So here we're going to learn how a planning supposed to happen, how you know, capture the requirement, what you should be looking into before you will be aligning any sort of the team, or how you will be selecting the process, what are the do's and don'ts while selecting the process itself, and how you will be able to work on your Azure boards to have a effective communication among the team members so that you can avoid multiple meetings. Because guys, for each and everything, if you need to go into the meeting and then you need to take the updates, how many hours you will be you can say wasting in any particular project. Let's say in an 8 hours or 9 hours of working day session, if I'm taking around 4 to 5 meetings of 30 minutes or let's say 1 hour, I'm unnecessary wasting 3 to 5 hours of time on daily basis. If there will be an efficient mechanism of the communication, if somebody updating any sort of the changes, I will be getting the information then and there with the help of the notification, it will be a better choice. So if I will be updated right away, there should not be any requirement of the meeting until and unless it's a daily stand-up call where you would need to check the process, or maybe you would like to set certain expectation with the team. In module 2, we're going to talk about getting started with the source control. Now guys, as you will be working on the different versions, right, you want a mechanism that how that particular mechanism should be working with the help of your different sections of the repository, maybe on the GitHub, local Git, or it can be in Azure repositories as well, right? So over here in this particular module, we'll talk about version control, that how those kind of the commit operation, pull request, push request that you will be making, how we can ensure that, those kind of things can take place efficiently. In module 3, we'll talk about technical depths. Now the technical depths are nothing, these are.
Jatin, sorry to interrupt you. So what are the tools we are covering in the source control? Means,
okay, so we'll be covering, okay. So we will be talking about GitHub over here. So as you can see, there will be one section in module 4 already about the Git we're going to talk about, and we will be touching upon the Azure repositories as well. Now, these are not the tools basically, right? Tools like your Azure Terraforms, Ansible, Chef, Puppet, these are the tools that you use for your deployment over here, right? So whatever tools that you will be using, that will fall under at module 13 and module 14, that managing your infrastructure configuration using Azure tools, like your automation account tools that you will be using, or whether you will be using third-party tools like your Terraforms, Ansible, right? So these are the discussion we will have it over here. Here we are just talking about how the source control is supposed to be designed. Make sense? Okay.
yes,
okay, cool. So guys, when we talk about, getting started with your source control, here we're going to talk about how the branching can be designed. What are the feature branch that you can create, and how you will be able to ensure that pull and push requests that we have. And in module 3, we're going to touch upon managing the technical debt. Now, technical debts are ongoing requirements, or there can be ongoing bugs, or, the code changes that you have made, they have created a problem in the testing phase. They are giving a continuous feedback that, these are the things that we need to sort it out before we will be proceeding it further. So here we're going to talk about those technical depths, which, we need to reduce for the smooth integration process over here. Clear, guys? Further, we're going to talk about, just give me 1 minute, guys. Guys, not sure, guys, who have just used this particular. Guys, are you still seeing this, section over here, the circle which has been circulated over here?
Yes.
Guys, not sure. I mean, this is not done by me. I mean, anybody have other control guys who have done this? because I'm not able to get rid of this. Shoaib, I request you, please stop, making these kind of the changes over here. Any other person who is just doing it, guys, you can have some additional rights, guys. Please make sure that, guys, we are not used.
I was just checking that whether I can do it, but somebody else did that. The yellow line, which is did by me.
So
let
can
me
you please
that
revert
one.
this? Okay, guys, others who have tried making this particular circle, I request you all, guys, please revert the changes right away, guys.
I don't know who made that.
No problem, Shoaib. I got it. No problem. Guys, whomso have tried earlier, guys, I request you all, guys, please not to use your cursors over there. There can be additional rights to you guys. I request you guys, please revert this change. Okay, guys, anyways, coming back. So in module 4, guys, we're going to talk about working with the Git of your Azure DevOps, right? Now, when you talk about your Git, we are talking about your local repository, right? Because definitely you will be bringing the code from the different repository section, right? And that is the reason, that we need to work upon the local Git part. So we'll be touching upon that particular section, that how we can manage that particular code section within your Azure DevOps, right? In module 5, we will start working on the pipelines. So the structure that what we have, discussed over here, that what all things that we will be including in this particular, version test and the build over here, and the staging and testing and the security testing and the deployment over here. So we are talking about the integration right now. We are not talking about the deployment. So here we'll start the integration, that how the different repository can be integrated. Now, as I mentioned, the repository can be on Azure, it can be on the GitHub, or it can be somewhere in the third-party solution as well. So here we are starting with Azure repositories and integrating using the pipeline over here. Clear, guys? Are we all able to follow? Further, we're going to talk about implementation of the continuous integration using Azure pipelines. So here, guys, we will be learning about the agents. Microsoft hosted agent or self-hosted agent, which will be helping us to execute this pipeline, because this pipeline is nothing but the set of instructions or the jobs that you will have. And definitely those jobs are nothing but a code. Now, every code required its own environment to execute. Now, that environment will be provided by either self-hosted agents. So these are VM skill set machines that we will be using, and we call it agent pools over here, where the execution of these pipelines will be happening. So these are the things that we will be touching upon over here, that implementing your continuous integration using your Azure pipelines. And further, guys, we're going to touch upon in module 7, where we will be start discussing about the security over here. Now, when we talk about the security, guys, over here, the security have a lot of different aspect over here, because whenever you will be integrating the code from the GitHub, definitely those things are outside Azure, and it required a security, because there can be vulnerabilities which can be there, guys. So over here, we'll be touching upon that particular integration, that how your Key Vault can be utilized and how you will be able to use this configuration over here. Right, so managing your application configuration and the secrets. So secrets can be kept into your Key Vault. So guys, Key Vault, if you are new to Azure, guys, let me tell you, Key Vault is nothing but a storage where you keep your secrets, your security information, like your disk encryption keys, like your, any sort of connection strings, or any sort of your certificates for the applications, like digital certificates that you will have. So these are certain things, guys, that you will be able to keep. So here we're going to talk about how those security will be taking place over here, because while integrating with the repository and while deploying it in the production, and if in case there will be any agent that we have, right, which will be executing these codes over here, right, those agents also required integration. And guys, whenever we will be doing the integration, definitely, guys, your security needs to be taken under the consideration, guys. So here we're going to talk about the security aspect as well. Further, we will be touching upon the designing and the implementing a dependency management strategy, right? So your code can have the dependency. We're going to touch upon that particular part. And before that, we also talk about how you can integrate with the GitHub action. So there can be a possibility that your pipelines can be directly executed on the GitHub itself. There are certain options available that you can use GitHub directly for hosting an application within Azure as well. So this is something which is newly launched, guys. This was not available a year and a half ago. They have newly introduced from last 1 year. And this is what we will be learning in the GitHub Actions. And in module 9, we're going to talk about dependency management of those
Hi,
codes.
Jatin.
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt. I want to know the difference between repository and the key, because repository also is storage, right? So why we can't store the secrets on the repository?
So if tomorrow there will be any hack happen in the code, they know that, where exactly your database is. Because if you have a connection string, for an example, if you have a frontier where you have hosted your web application and in the backend you have a database, and if I'm directly keeping my code or any particular configuration of the connection string in the code, so if let's say that code has been compromised, it means from there they can also get into my database as well. And definitely in the database, you can have your financial sensitive information, you can have lot different kind of the information which can impact your production adversely, right? And that is the reason we required a secure place, so that we can design our own access policy with the help of the tokens, or what level of the permission that you would like to give, right? So that those kind of the what you can say vulnerabilities can be avoided. Clear?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. And further, guys, in module 10, we're going to talk about your designing a release strategy, that, before release, what are the challenges that we can, came across, or let's say if there will be any sort of the changes that we need to do, what all things that we can go ahead and do that. So these are certain things that, we will be able to discuss over here. In module 11, we're going to touch about implementation of your continuous deployment using your Azure pipelines. So if you're talking about the pipelines over here, now we are talking about the deployment, that how the integration within Azure infrastructure, we will be doing it, how we can go ahead and proceed with the continuous deployment. So let's say if I'm hosting my web application, how the infrastructure beneath that code can be maintained, whether I can go with the infrastructure as a service, I can go with the platform as a service model as well, or the container and the Kubernetes clustering over here as well. In module 12, we're going to talk about implementing an appropriate deployment pattern, that what should be the approach of the deployment, what are the resources I should be ready with before I will be bringing my code from your Azure repository with the help of the pipeline, and then we will be hosting in Azure. So here we're going to talk about the deployment pattern. As I said earlier, in module 13 and in module 14, we will be learning about the tools that we will be using for this automation, for the deployment using CI/CD pipeline. So here first we're going to talk about Azure Automation Account, which will be helping us in order to create resources within Azure through Azure portal itself. And in module 14, we're going to touch upon third-party solution. Nowadays, you must be hearing about Terraform, Ansible, how those kind of the things can be integrated within Azure. So these are the things, guys, that we will be learning in module 14. In module 15, we're going to talk about managing your container using the Docker. So here we will be emphasizing on the container-based application deployment. So if I say container-based application deployment, it means you are the one who will be responsible, not only the application, but for the runtime, or you can say the framework where your application will be executed, and also the operating system environment where exactly that framework should be available. So here we're going to talk about your containerized application, that how that application will be working upon. In module 16, we're going to talk about Kubernetes cluster. So guys, if I need to run my application in the containerized format, and in that containerized format, I required more compute, I required more high availability, how we can achieve this using Kubernetes clustering. So here we're going to talk about Kubernetes orchestrator, that how Kubernetes is helping us in order to use my infrastructure as a code, right? So this is what we will be learning in module 16. And guys, from module 17 to module 20, these are the modules which are associated with the efficient mechanism of the communication and associated with the monitoring over here. So in module 17, we're going to talk about that how in the different team formation within Azure DevOps, how you can ensure that continuous feedback mechanism can be implemented over here. So we'll talk about implementing feedback for your DevOps teams over here. So how this can be achieved in your DevOps environment. And in module 18, we're going to talk about your implementing a system of your feedback mechanism, because feedbacks are also important from the customers as well, not among the team members every time. So let's say you have deployed any sort of the resource within Azure, and if a consumer will be using it, consumers should be able to give the feedback, and then your production team should be looking into the requirements and check whether this is feasible to make any sort of the changes, so that we can probably provide that feature or any sort of the functionality that your user is looking into. And in module 19, we're going to talk about implementing the security in the DevOps project. So the guys, security is having a broader picture over here. So earlier we talked about using the key vault during the integration, you can implement the security. Here we are talking about the security of your code, that before deployment, how your code can be tested, and you will be able to know about the vulnerabilities or licensing challenges or any sort of the bugs or hidden issues with the code itself. In module 20, we're going to talk about the validating your code basis for the compliance. So guys, why we use compliance? We want to ensure that my resources should be 100% compliance, and every organization have their own compliance policies that needs to be implemented within the code itself. So compliance is pretty much important from the organization perspective, and it can help you to avoid any sort of the goof ups which can happen during the development phase or during the deployment over here. So you must have heard about Sonar Cloud, which is open source third-party solution, how those can be integrated, or there can be a number of other solutions that can be integrated for those kind of the assessment for the compliance and the security vulnerabilities. So guys, this is the structure of the training, what we will go through for AZ400 guys. Now guys, queries, any sort of the questions that you have, please let me know.
So SonarQube is generally,
yeah guys, one by one, please go ahead.
yeah, SonarQube is generally used for testing, right?
Correct.
So what about the compliance?
So guys, if you're talking about the testing, right? So definitely the testing supposed to be done from the compliance end as well. During the testing itself, if it will be better if you will be able to know that what all things which are falling out of compliance, you will be able to fix it in a pre-prod stage itself, isn't it? So Sonar Cloud can be helping for compliance management as well. As if you're aware about the Sonar Cloud, I mean, not only it will be able to test the code, it will be also check your compliance related issues as well.
Okay, good. So what is the duration of this course? How many hours?
Okay, so the duration of the course of AZ400 is for this 40 hours course, right? It's a 5-day training. Now, depending on the requirement, guys, I mean, depending on the feasibility, what exactly that you will be looking into, you can contact Amit for that. Okay, so I'll be sharing his contact details with you all. So in case if you like to go for the session or any particular timings related things, you can just check with Amit how feasible that it will be that when you can go for the course, right? So I've shared with you all guys, this is something that you can use over here.
Jatin, what is the prerequisite for this course? Is it PowerShell is required or something else?
No.
Any automation tools?
Okay, no, nothing guys, not any automation tool, a basic understanding of the infrastructure. So if you have gone with AZ104 or 103 earlier in the past, because 103 certification no longer exists, right? Currently, right, 104, or if you are coming from a development background, right? So it would be better if you are from the development background, you can go with AZ204 course as well. Right. So you can say these two courses are the prerequisite for AZ400. Now in AZ104, we actually understand how the infra works on Azure, right? So somebody, working from your Azure administrator background, right? If they are already in Azure, they can directly go for this particular training. But if you want to have, to have both the information, so AZ104 is an option. Or for an example, let's say I'm from the development background, I don't have to deal with the infrastructure at all. So for that, AZ204 is the course.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So from continuous infrastructure as a code. So we are using this one Terraform and this one, right? Ansible. So how only the conceptual or any real-time environment we are creating and deploying this code? How it is?
Okay, guys. So for
yeah,
you,
because these are two different technologies are there. So that is the reason I'm asking this question. So how much duration or how deep level we are covering these topics here?
So guys, you can totally understand that, this is something which is 20 module course and we cover in 5 days, right? So the weightage of this particular module will be a section of a discussion that we will have, right? So if you divide 20 modules in 5 days, it will be on each day we will be covering around 4 modules, right? So out of which you can totally understand that, there will be a discussion on the Ansible and the Terraform for the, let's say, 2 to 3 hours of a discussion, that how the integration of that tools will be happening with Azure, right? So if you talk about the integration, how that particular tool will be there, and there will be a syntax that you will be using to execute that particular code. Now, usually people who would like to work with multi-cloud platform, they will be using the Terraform, right? So it's not a Terraform tool training what we are talking about over here. We are talking about DevOps methodology and how you can use that particular tool. So that's demonstration will be there, but it will be a discussion of 2 to 3 hours, not more than that.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, any further questions on this?
Jitin, one quick question. As you saw, like feature branch, whether it will be in cloud portal or in local, the first you draw somewhere in PaintBrush, right? Like a feature branch. So just I need to know whether it will be in cloud portal, I mean Azure DevOps
It
portal,
can be
or
both.
in...
It can be both. I mean, it can be putting into the local if you like to deal with the local. If you want to keep it on the cloud, you can put it on the cloud. That is your choice. That is the choice of the project where exactly you would like to keep it. Yeah. So it can be local as well.
Okay. So you mean to say like it's like a private, I mean like a private branch, right?
You can have it in the private as well. I mean, that is up to you. It totally depends on the push and pull mechanism, what you would like to accomplish within the project. If you're okay with the keeping the Azure repos, that is there. Or maybe I would be working locally and then I would like to decide it, put it in the Azure repos later on. That is up to you. No problem with that.
Okay.
Or maybe you would like to
Thanks.
keep it in continuous synchronization. That is also possible.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks, Jitin. Yeah.
So Justin, are we covering Jenkins also here or not?
See, Jenkins is not the part of this particular course. Earlier, it used to be that we used to, use Maven package installer for that and how that Jenkins will be created. But, if you want to have a customization, we can probably have it, depending whether you are going for directly AZ400 training, or let's say you would like to learn certain customization tool training for that. But, my recommendation, go for a generalized training first so that you will have it. Now, the tool training will not take much time if you have a fair understanding of Azure DevOps. Yep.
Got it.
Okay, guys, further questions coming. How long will it take the training each day, guys? So it is up to you guys. If you want to go for 8 hours of training, it will take 5 days. If you're going for the 4 hours of training, it will take 10 days. So guys, that particular thing you can discuss with Amit, that how the structure is, depending on the availability of the trainer and depending on the availability of the participants as well, things can be worked out, guys. So that is something that you can have a discussion with Amit. I have shared the phone number. If in case, guys, anybody, has not received the number, I'm just sharing it once again, guys. Yeah. So you can just get in touch with Amit and you can check, guys, your availability, and whenever, we can start this particular course over here.
Jatin, this is Yogesh.
Yeah, Yogesh.
So, see, I'm from infrastructure background. So, how it will help me if I do the DevOps? Okay. So, because I'm from core infrastructure background.
No problem. See, Yogesh, let me tell you, there are many, people, and that is the reason, as I said, that AZ104 is a prerequisite before somebody is going to learn for DevOps, right? Now, DevOps is a different area of engineering that you can see over here, right? Over here, you are creating the pipelines, which is not the case with the infrastructure. Over there, you are just managing your host and, you're taking care of the performance related challenges, any, monitoring related tools over there. Or let's say there will be Azure Active Directory, right? You will be taking care of the assessment and the vulnerabilities over there. But that is something that you are dealing, right? I mean, you're not dealing with the code, you're not dealing with creating any of the pipelines. So definitely this will be an additional step towards you can say a different area altogether of Azure, right? So definitely it will be adding on, more knowledge to that. And in the market, if you currently look into, right, the jobs are available widely for 3 kind of the engineers. One, if somebody is a data engineer, another, if somebody are DevOps engineer, and for the solution architects, right? So definitely if you are from the infrastructure, that will also help to understand the DevOps, and you can probably explore more in the DevOps in the market, and it is also available for your resume, or you can say any interviews that you will be looking into for the DevOps itself. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, guys, related to the fees, related to the timings, I request you all guys, please get in touch with the Amit, because I'm not the right person to comment on that particular part, because if any technical questions that you will have, guys, do let me know related to the fee structure and related to the timings. I request you all guys, please get in touch with Amit, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, there is one more question here. Is it necessary to have any programming skills or programming
No,
language
no,
to clear this AC4?
not at all.
Not required.
Not
Okay.
required. Guys, there is another question. Do we have job support after the course, right? So that is something that, again, guys, you need to check with Amit, depending on the guidelines, what we will be, following for this particular training, right? So whatever discussion that we have it related to the timing, related to the additional course, the discussion that we have, you can just check with Amit, guys, depending on that, right? Because we also need to check upon the, depending on the availability of the participants as well. And definitely we need to follow the generalized format, or maybe there will be 2 different batches, depending how many participants will be there, depending on the availability. So we can have a discussion over there. So you can just discuss with Amit that what will be the feasibility and how frequently that, we can, how quickly you can go for the course if you want to get to the course right now, or, whenever you would like to join the session.
Yeah, after completing this course, can we appear for the AC400, or do we need the additional learning?
No, guys, after completing this particular course, you can go for the examination. And I wanted to show you guys, this is the weightage of different, the areas of the DevOps that we will be learning for the examination. So as you can see, the development instrumentation strategy, 5 to 10% of the weightage. Your develop a site reliability engineering strategy, 5 to 10%. Develop a security and compliance, 10 to 15%, and managing your source control, 10 to 15% over here. Facilitate communication and the collaboration among the teams, 10 to 15%, and define implementation of your continuous integration. Good amount of the weightage for your pipelines, 20 to 25%, and define and implement a continuous delivery and the release management strategy, 10 to 15% of the area, guys. So these are certain things, guys. You will be doing hands-on lab in this particular training, and you have a discussion on the different strategy. You will be doing the hands-on lab. That's it. What else we required for the course, right? So further, you can check, what all things that you will be getting as a part of the training over here from Amit. And definitely, guys, if we will be doing on hands-on, and if we will be going with all the aspect of the training itself, you can directly appear for the examination. The only thing you have to practice a bit, right? Before going for the examination, you should be feeling slight confident about the course itself, and you are good to go. So you can direct appear for this particular course as well, for your examination.
Okay.
Yep. Guys, any further questions on this? Are we all good? Everyone?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all, guys. Thank you guys for taking out the time for this webinar, guys. Request you all, guys, whomsoever want to, get enrolled for the training, guys, please kindly get in touch with Amit. And thanks a lot, guys. Thank you for joining the session. See you all in the training, guys, and all the best for the examination. And guys, take care of yourself. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Chetan.
thanks, team. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Sure.